These other teachings handed down to me become desperate in a way, and now you are free. These other teachings handed down to me become desperate in a way, and now you are free. These other teachings handed down to me become desperate in a way, and now you are free. These other teachings handed down to me become desperate in a way, and now you are free. This is true grit. Put you down with the true click. Call me Nike, cause I just do it.
I hit up Andrew to do the mural in my tattoo shop, because I wanted to put something badass on my wall.
The aerosol tighten, hit them with the rustos, get them up close, the cutthroats out of North City. El Capitans and lieutenants, I brought the hardcore with me. We get more busy and hit the war grizzly. Hold it down to throw up and represent with the ZIP blockbuster that is so tough. No buff, wash out what I put up. I keep an eye out to the train wreck and distinguish the good stuff. That's good enough, cousin. Check out the production, way of thinking. Resurrect graffiti movement from extinction. Part of something larger than me. I traveled the 7 seas to the different continents. 1992, been bombing since 92. Yeah, we was big time, running the rain city streets and let the kids shine. 92, yeah, we was big time, running the rain city streets and let the kids shine. 92, yeah, we was big time, running the rain city streets.
Yeah, I was real happy with the work that Andrew did at the shop in Shoreline. It turned out awesome. Get lots of compliments. He painted a Seattle mural.
12th man!
So you're born and raised in Washington. Where in Washington were you born and raised?
Seattle.
Seattle.
I was born in Providence Hospital, right up the street.
I think it's amazing how my cousin Andrew can mix and mash the guidelines and our form of art, which is Haida art like this, and he's able to apply it to his urban setting, which is where he comes from down here in Seattle.
So I started writing graffiti at the age of 12 or 13, and it was up in Seattle, Washington, up in the rain.
And after the artwork show done, where else can people go and see your artwork?
There's a lot of places they can go here in Seattle. They can go to my official website, andrewmorrison.org. And as we speak, up on 90th and Wallingford, you can go to the Indian Heritage Wilson Pacific School, and I have 7 large murals painted on the side of the school.
I think anybody who's ever tried to write a word with a spray can can attest to how difficult it is to even control the spray. And when working with those hardware store brand cans that you're talking about, the level of skill that's required to accomplish something like that is extremely rare. It's not something that is as well practiced in the younger groups of aerosol artists, up-and-coming aerosol artists, because we have so many awesome developments in our artistic aerosol cans now. We have a great selection. You know, tons of different brands that are, you know, especially colors that are mixed, especially for graffiti artists, lower pressure cans, you know, to be able to paint on canvases and stuff. And aerosol art itself has just evolved so much that it's really a testament to how precious these murals really are.
And people respect this, man. People respect this. Like you said, there's no graffiti tagging, no desecrating, because I feel people know that this is kind of something you don't want to mess with. You don't want to mess with the message and the word that's going forth from these pictures, because it's beyond the ink and the paint. It's the word behind it and the truth of our history.
Before I became a national fine artist, I was a street graffiti artist, literally creating with spray paint. My colleagues here, my associates, my great friends are also street graffiti artists, you know, and all of us use Krylon spray paint today to do these murals, so that's a reflection of the hip-hop culture and more so the street graffiti culture. It's a perfect reflection of individuals like us, adolescents that grew up and were able to become productive with our talents with spray paint, and it's a house paint.
I got one life to live, so I'ma live it. Tell us how we did it, tell us we ain't committed. So exquisite when I put it in front of you to digest. The process of progress, wait for no man. I'll break it down into fractions, the whole plan manifests in front of my 2 eyes. I tell it to you chicks, you kids, and you guys. Utilize these possessions, so I ain't stressing. No question, mic checking. 1, 2, 1, 2. The last days, apocalypse now. This is what it has come to. They might gun you. Peripheral vision, eyes in the back of me. Total awareness, keen to the scene. My family, from AK to AZ. They call me Star, STAA the baby. The kid that grew up last and blew up fast. Made a name for myself and kept my rep in check. I played the game for Delphi, catch the wreck and jet.
I believe that no doubt that you were moved by the hand of the Creator to come out here and to bring hope, healing, and restoration.
Andrew's definitely somebody who's in tune with the Creator. He's very spiritual. Every move that he makes is spiritual. Like it's a calculated step towards in the right direction. That's just how Andrew moves. Anybody who knows him knows he's a spiritual guy. He's very loving, he's very caring, and he's about his community. If you know Andrew, you know that. If you don't know Andrew, you'll know that very soon. And he's just a real guy. He's 100%, you know, 110%.
And it was a very humble start. You know, it wasn't, you know, I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth or, you know, was born on a golden brick road. It was a real humble start, you know, that basically God, you know, helped provide this path for me. And
what do I think about his integrity, man? It's awesome, man. Like, straight up, it shows a lot of integrity. You know, kind of like somebody accidentally steals your lighter, and you go ahead and give it back to them. You know what I mean? And we just clicked, man, him and Roman. And we just had a little click in there. He was militant about it, you know, always wanted to paint and get down. He went to art school, you know what I'm saying? Fine arts, he knows what's up, all the tricks of the trade, you know what I mean? Yeah, ability and agility, the man is just lightning fast. Like I'll be painting, we'll be painting, go and paint a piece, and it just, it's done. It's a great idea, man. I think we should do that. Maybe have one of the judges like a graffiti critique, you know, graffiti writer himself, and maybe at least one of the judges just an artist that doesn't necessarily do spray paint, but just has, you know, is gonna, you know, be fair and have some, you know, it depending on what the criteria is too. We should have a pretty cool, like, different criteria, you know, like, and it's gonna be awesome, man. We gotta make that happen. It's inseparable. It's unbreakable. It's something that's like essence, like through childhood. You know, like back that far. I mean, it's like I seen him paint his very first piece of spray paint ever. Meaningful. It was an honor, man, like on your honor and on mine and my mother's, man. Like, I'll have it too fast. I wasn't ready for it, and you know, it's blessed, and it's gonna stay there. And my mom's in heaven now, and I really don't know what to say. It hasn't hit me yet. But we definitely rocked it and made a name for ourselves, you know. He has, for sure.
Push it on the strip, nah, I couldn't slip. Giving you the stuff that you couldn't flip. You like to hang out on the late night. Well, I do my thing in broad daylight. When the sun shines, that's when I shine. The skills that I got, I just combine. Yeah, it's a fun time when you partying, but ain't nothing funny when they barging in. And it start to end, the world turn on you. And if you didn't know, you about to learn, partner. This is Nirvana, coming as you are, at lightning speed, going fast and far, past the stars to the tip.
When did you start to draw?
I started when I was about 4 or 5 years old, you know.
I've always been good at drawing. I've always been a good artist. I've always known that. I always liked to do it. And it wasn't until I was about 12 years old, when I was in 6th grade, that I actually discovered that I had a real talent. My teacher, his name was Mr. Whittemore. I was in his class in 6th grade, and I was drawing on the table with the number 2 pencil, and Mr. Whittemore said, you know, stopped the class and said, hey, Andrew, you know, you can't draw on your desk. And I just kind of ignored him and gave him a wave and kept drawing on my desk. And Mr. Whittemore, again, a middle-aged man, said, you know, stopped the class and said, Andrew, I thought I told you not to draw on your desk. You can't do that. And I just kind of waved to him again, just not even knowing what I'm doing, and kept drawing. I was drawing a chief head on the desk. And finally, Mr. Whittemore threw his ruler down and got upset and stopped everything and said, Andrew, I told you not to draw on your desk. You're ruining the desk. Why are you not listening to me? And he stormed over to my desk, and the whole class got silent, and I looked up at him. He was a big guy. I was 12 years old. I thought I was going to get, you know, in big trouble, and he looked over at me, and then he looked down at the desk, and he stopped, and he looked at the picture that I had just drawn on the desk, and he kind of, you know, took a couple deep breaths, and I was just looking at him, didn't know what to expect, and he said, who did that, Andrew? Who did that on your desk? And I said, I did it. And he goes, who showed you how to do that? Who taught you to do that kind of stuff? And I said, I don't know, TV, you know, I watch a lot of TV, you know, I'm sorry, I don't know. And he goes, okay, that's enough, I had enough. Class, you guys read chapter 6. Andrew, you go to the back room. I have to talk to you. You go march back there. I'll be back there. Class, you know, you're going to have to break here for a second. So at that time, I thought I was in really big trouble, and I said, oh, man, I must be in for it, you know. And so then I marched to the back of the class, and then Mr. Whittemore came to the back, and he sat me down. He was dead serious. And what I didn't know, I'm still friends with Mr. Whittemore to this day. What I didn't know was that Mr. Whittemore was a professional illustrator, a type of illustration and painting, but that's what he had his degree in, but he was teaching part-time to make money, and I didn't know that. So he saw the talent. He said, Andrew, in the back of the room, you got real talent, Andrew. You have something that other kids don't have. I like your drawing that you did on your desk. I want you to do more of it.
How authentic is my brother's artwork, Sta's artwork? It's very authentic. It touches on a lot of our own culture. It actually touches on the hurts, the pains, the victories of the modern day Native American and histories of the past. It captures a lot of different type of history as far as yesteryear and today. He actually does his artworks and it's on a lot of different types of walls.
The whip I'm stabbing on the chick I'm grabbing. I play getting chips in any kind of fashion and keeps it cracking like Rice Krispies. And in my city the homies call me Zippy cause I got it locked up airtight. And I do what I gotta, so no, this ain't no fair fight. From the radio to the studio, I'm on that frequency. A true gentleman treating chicks with decency. Straight out the produce with the fresh flow. Saturday night dress code, courtesy of Calvin Klein. high profiling and buck wilding and getting more love than a Valentine. They peep game from a distance. Millenniums and eons of evolution went into my existence. Obligated to fan bam, nephews and infants. Babysitting and picking up the boy at the bus stop. This is what I do on a daily basis while you chumps get mug shots. Getting booked on some BS, calling mom for help. You should've listened with Pop Dukes beat you with that bell.
As bad as I want oxygen,
I wanna be the best.
as bad as I want oxygen,
I wanna keep it fresh.
as bad as I want oxygen,
Dressing to impress.
as bad as I want oxygen.
When he was a young man, we actually used to get these 4x8s for him doing construction. In high school, he would go ahead and paint on these 4x8s, either plywood or sheetrock, and spray paint, any type of thing to do with paint, art. I remember he was very artistic at those times.
How I got my start in actually going from graffiti tagging to throw-ups to burners to actually painting portraits on the wall, again, it's a story of evolution. And I always did graffiti tags since I was a young kid, and I used to go out at night a lot, and I'd sneak out at night by myself. That's the nature of graffiti. You go out at night, you try not to be hidden, you don't let people know your moves. And I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I was tagging my name on the wall, and I did a throw-up. And I said, you know what? If I can do a throw-up, maybe I can do a cartoon character, because at that time, I used to draw a lot of cartoons and comics. I can still do it to this day. And I said, let me try to do a cartoon character on the wall. Let me see how that goes. And so I tried to do a cartoon character, and it worked. It came out awesome. And the very next day or something, I went in my backyard again and found a big board, like a 4x8 foot board. And I said, I'm gonna take this spray paint, 12 or 13 years old, maybe 14, I said, I'm actually, instead of doing a cartoon character or tag, I'm actually gonna try to do a chief head, a war bonnet, a whole war bonnet, because war bonnets were really big back in the 80s and 90s. They still are part of the iconic Native American culture. So I took this spray paint and I went in the backyard and just didn't even know what I was doing, just learning as I went, and started carving out with colors and with high pressure spray paint a war bonnet, and it came out really good over the course of a few hours. And again, it stunned me. I learned myself that moment. It shocked me, and my spirit grew, and the confidence grew within me. And then from that point on, it kind of opened a Pandora's box of, wow, this stuff can go, it can be more versatile than just tagging and throw-ups and burners. And from that point on, is when I started to develop the portrait skills with spray paint.
Cars and jaw dropping when I do hip hopping. D-boys went from picking cotton to 3 months cropping. It's rotten and the grizz is iffy. Do what you can, kids, show business risky. I'm sidestepping you loan and sharks. Walk my own walk and talk my own talk and build my own Noah's Ark. It take a lot of guts and telepathic mind controls a must. On a journey at 30 and I'm just getting started. Looking so young and so hip, I'm still getting carded. Unlimited bound by Nathan Infinite is at my fingertips, and you best to know the freshest kids are singing this. The family's behind us. Push it all up in different genres and take it to you prima donnas. Double back zipping, conviction, hit the exit. Ray Lewis when I do this, push it 365 to get out that record. We had a humble beginning, but now that's in the past. Put it all on blast, home run mentality. Knock it out the ballpark and smash.
He's heart, mind, body, and souls in his artwork.
I was 13 or 14 years old, and at that time I had already gone through several different graffiti tag names. I started with the name Dice. My cousin used to call me Andrew Dice Clay, and none of the names really resonated with me. I was always looking for a perfect letter combination of letters that felt good with me, and one day I was watching a Ziploc bag commercial. This was 20 years ago now, and in the commercial, the person doing the advertisement kept bagging vegetables and fruit into a Ziploc bag and putting it in the freezer. And as they did so, they kept repeating the phrase, Ziploc bag, it keeps it fresh, it keeps your produce fresh, it keeps it fresh, Ziploc will keep it fresh for you. And I thought to myself, I keep it fresh. I'm Ziploc. Ziploc keeps it fresh. That's me. And from that point on, that's been my name. It hasn't changed since.
Ziploc, high energy, sometimes over the top, but definitely needed.
Ziploc is definitely an alter ego for me, and it has always been that.
Ziploc is a good alter ego to Andrew Morrison because it allows him to go to depths maybe Andrew Morrison, the professional, will keep in the professional world.
Ziploc is a person. It's a thing that, you know, doesn't conform to society. Andrew Morrison, the professional artist, is a person that does the right thing, that conducts himself in a certain way in public, that has a certain amount of manners and professionalism when I go out into the world, and that's good. But Ziploc is definitely an element that allows me to break free of that, regardless of what people think or what people say, and really, you know, draws strength and power within myself.
And Ziploc allows him to kind of, I'm gonna say it's a street side that he has about him. You know, he's a professional, but he has a side to him. I mean, he's a graffiti artist. He does murals.
He travels to do his murals.
I compare it to Clark Kent and Superman. You know, Clark Kent is Andrew Morrison in the business world, doing the right thing, paying his taxes, and Ziploc is Superman when the time is needed, when forces of nature and circumstances arise where, you know, a supernatural force is needed to actually achieve something. That is a time when Ziploc comes into fruition.
Now you are free. This is work, fool. Don't let the system work you. Make it back before curfew, cause guess who got the key? Yours truly, the residents I oversee. Those on level 3 get all the privileges. No soup for you, in bed by 2, the illest gigs. Nobody want them, so I guess I gotta take them. B of A, direct deposit to get the cake, son. I gotta school you, youngin'. Don't let the TV fool you, cunning. Grimy, crimey, say they gotta spot that trap. Thinking a mad dog will put you on the map, but that's just straight up whack. Cause I don't budge an inch when they snap. This time I know that the law's on my side. And word to Tupac, I'ma ride without sweating the rear view. I ain't breaking my nails or messing up my hairdo. These other teachings handed down to me become desperate in a way, and now you are free. These other teachings.
What influenced you into the style that you would categorize yourself in, if you could?
Possibly a lot of things. My Native American heritage, one. My surroundings, my community.
And when I went and downtown, I was painting with my father, and I ran into the DVS crew and ran into Soul for the first time. I again left the site and I went and I just watched these men paint for just several hours. And again, it's like crystal clear, and it just, it hit me. And to this day, it's instances and moments like that have changed me, changed my spirit forever. And all the old school DVS dudes at that time, they were really cool with me too. They didn't shun me. They didn't tell me to get out of there. They didn't say, get out of here, kid, or didn't belittle me. You know, they were very friendly to me. I was asking them questions. I was just a teenager. I was asking them about colors, the cans, their whole process, and they were all very friendly to me, and I appreciate them to this day. It was Soul and Sneak and a few other of the DVS crew, and so I remember that particular night after I ran into these individuals. I actually went back to my father's house that night, and I snuck out of the house at night and went into my father's garage and got some of his spray paint that he used for his painting jobs, and I went out and I tagged around the neighborhood and town that night. And you know what I mean?
Even his mural in front of the house is how this whole thing kind of started.
On the outside, on the artist point of view, what outside influences did you get? People like, for instance, like Van Gogh?
Cosby from the By Any Means crew from Seattle had a big impact on my graffiti culture and my graffiti growth. I used to see his characters and his crew and their production work around Seattle as a teenager, and by seeing and visually witnessing his work, it had a great influence on me to this very day, and I appreciate that. And also a tagger by the name of Clown, I believe, from California, came up to Seattle at one point and began tagging and bombing and doing pieces in Seattle. And I was at the Lake City wall in Seattle, a legal wall, and I was watching clown paint at one time. The very first time I saw him, and I sat there and watched him for several hours and watched his techniques. And literally, again, by watching and observing, I learned from him, and that style, again, helped me become who I am today as far as my artistic influence and what I do on the wall.
Yeah, Ziplok, he's a true hip-hop head.
Graffiti and hip-hop actually keeps me young, it keeps me sharp, it keeps me fast, on the edge, where I should be all the time, because when I think about the ability to do graffiti and the ability to express myself, I want to do it in the purest form, the best that I can. And by me being able to do that, it causes me to want to have physical endurance, physical stamina, and mental awareness. And within those principles comes mind, body, and soul coming together as one in a unique force to strike at will.
Ziplok's hunger is unexplainable. Let me give you a quick story. Boom City, it's up north, 30 miles from Seattle or so. It's a fireworks stand. Everyone's selling fireworks and stuff. This guy was hustling his tail off. I mean, doing murals on fireworks stands. All day I'm there helping. I'm selling CDs. He's doing murals. The guy was getting it in. I'm not gonna put his numbers out there. He was getting money and he was going really hard. Everybody was seeing his artwork and said, "Oh, I want you to do my stand. Oh, I want you to do my stand." It was dominoes effect, and he was ready for it. He was hungry. He took everything. He took everybody on and did everybody's who wanted their fireworks stand done, and he did it.
Can control is a big issue and a topic in the graffiti culture, and I always talk about it, and I like talking about it, and because can control is something that's very essential and needed as a graffiti writer in the graffiti culture. The definition of can control is controlling the can, because aerosol spray paint, especially high pressure aerosol spray paint that I started with Krylon and Rust-Oleum, it was very hard to control because it would come out. A can control is the process of holding down the tip, the nozzle, at a certain diameter, at a certain millimeter, and holding your can a certain inches away from the wall and simultaneously moving it as fast as you can in a controlled manner. That whole process takes a minimum of 3 to 4, 5 years for a young teenager, anybody, to actually master. And it took me a good, I would say, 5 years to really get a good grip on can control. And it's very essential. In the graffiti world, it's just something that you can't get around.
So why is it important for the young cats to know the hip-hop history? Well, it's real important because back in the day, it wasn't popular to actually be a kind of a hip or a breaker, as we were kind of referred to. Wasn't hip-hop. I don't think there was any real terminology of where this was going. It was kind of a late 80s, kind of early 90s invention of the word. But back then it was a hip-hop tribe. And when you had your windbreaker on, you had your Kango, you had your zipper pants, you actually were in character. You had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of different music back then. The punk was just starting to develop. The new wave, actually, there's a new wave of Duran Duran, and the Metallica, the heavy metal was just starting beginning. So you had a lot of branches of high school kids, young kids, actually, getting into these different types of own cultures, their own tribes, the ones that they liked. And with that, it's very important that music just didn't end up as music. Music actually developed into different types of genres, syncs, and cultures.
Start with anything. Anything's better than nothing. Picking up a pencil, making a mark, taking a brush, putting paint on something, grabbing a spray paint, doing a dash on the wall, taking a photo, just going after it religiously and just do it. And what I learned when I shoot from my heart and I shoot from my hip and I do it together in a truthful place is that victory becomes very quick and it comes easy and it's right there and people want you to win. My advice and my words to anybody that's out there listening or watching that has a creative spirit or wants to create or draw or paint or get into graffiti or basically do anything, and how I learned and how I got to this point in my life is by just doing it. Literally jumping into it, literally not looking back, not caring about what anybody tells you, not fearing regret, not fearing punishment, not fearing mistakes, just doing it, religiously, believing in yourself.
So would you put yourself in like contemporary art kind of style?
It would be contemporary and traditional.
Andrew's vision is huge.
I've always said that the more you try to control graffiti, the more out of control it gets.
And that really means a lot to me.
I mean, this guy my homie Corey, he's a badass tattoo artist, but
yeah,
his art's not like yours.
Went without the tattoo.
Without the tattoo, yeah, could be, dude.
How did the tattoo work out today with Andrew? That turned out great. One of his longtime friends wanted artwork done, and wanted his homie Andrew to draw it up for him. So he drew it up real quick. Started with a picture on his phone, and then sketched it up, and then I put it on his skin.
How and why did he develop this Apache tattoo? It's actually a representative of our tribe, the Southwest Blood, the Apache, and it means gone, which is the crown dancer. This actually means a lot to our Apache culture. Actually led Geronimo out as far as like the spirit of gone. It embraces womanhood. In fact, it actually leads her out and dances and blesses her for fertility of children. And we're actually one of the last warring societies to actually go back to the reservation. Actually, St. Carlos, we always had a lot of renegade Apaches. My brother came up with the design, and it actually shows 3 or 4 smaller Apaches. They dance in 4s and 5s. Each different character represents a different part of the ceremony, and I've always wore it with pride.
This type of movement attacks the emptiness. You got hit and didn't know it, cause I was the friendliest. I used them cold broads for that espionage. Creep up in the tiger's den, take out the claws. No flaws, more psychological. At the snap of my index, effects domino.
The breakdance world and the pop locking world and the dancing world was actually Michael Jackson.
How did I teach my youngest brother, Ziplok style, how to pop lock and break dance? Was actually he was really into Michael Jackson back in the early 90s.
And that's when Michael Jackson was really blowing up, and all of his albums were all over the world and all over the MTV and just everywhere. And I used to mimic his moves. and I used to moonwalk, and I used to dress like him, and I would have the glove like him. And
so when he was showing some of his moves, Michael Jackson moves, you know, it's pretty much to the point, on point with Michael, but we needed to collaborate some other more breaking, more actually different popping, different locking, actually to create more movement to loosen up, which developed into him wanting to get into hip hop, his own stuff.
My oldest brother, Garrick, was a old school break dancer from Los Angeles, and before our family moved up to Seattle, and he was part of the several crews.
What breakdance crews was I in? The first one was we actually represented a boys club, Boys and Girls Club, the LA Los Angeles Boys and Girls Club. We actually had our own breakdance crew. Back then it wasn't named breakdancing. It was just kind of it was sort of a neighborhood type of thing.
And he taught me the basics of how to pop lock, how to do the real moonwalk, how to pop to the beat, actually how to have rhythm when you're dancing. He showed me how to do the wave, how to do the strut, how to do the king tut, how to do many moves.
I started breakdancing when I was 7, 8 years old. And that must have been about 76, 77.
I took what I learned from my brother and one of my best friends, his name is John Kilphilibon. I went straight to his house and started showing him what I knew. And at that time, we were both 12 or 13, and John had already been breakdancing and pop locking. He was a good pop locker, and he started showing me his struts and his moves.
A lot of stuff was a lot of signs, kind of letting you know where we're from.
At that point, I just took all the styles and just started running with it.
And so it's an art form compared to what we got going on now. Well, you know, we just go ahead and use duct tape and get cardboard, and we actually go down the streets. Actually, it took a while for the breakdancing scene to get up to the northwest from LA. A lot of gangs back then. And so a lot of times, but you know, some of the times you're able to dance your way out. We call it swag now, but back then it used to be called gusto. It's about how much gusto, a lot of heart. The Mexicans call it corazón. So, you know, as you start to, get in this game, you start to learn the different languages as well.
I began rapping at the age of 18, 19 when I was living in Providence, Rhode Island.
So heavy that it could weigh a ton, and it's so deadly that it could be a gun, fully automatic, pointed at your frame. So all you young kids, think twice before you put your neck up in this game, cause you win or you lose, there ain't no middle ground. And all the real OG original criminals, they put the pistols down, because they know now that the war is fought from within. I speak on the street to the Africans, Mexicans, and Redskins. We can't look back, cause there's too many hood rats making the same mistakes that I did. Keep your nose clean, stay out of trouble, let's do or die, kid. A 2 to 5 bit up in the can, that ain't no fun. Supervised probation and piss test from a court case back in 2001. If I wasn't looking out, then tell me who would be. Dropping game from the captain to all the rookies.
I see snakes in their eyes, I don't trust nan one of them. Racist snitches, now they have me on the run. Liquor on my breath, thicker with the stress. These fools ain't right, so I'm looking to my left. I threw my narcotics, and I ran from the K9s. Got away, came back and got it in the same night. Knuckleheads, thick skin and a lot of heart. Swimming in a cesspool with a whole lot of sharks. Stick up the weed man, families beefing, fighting with rats, cockroaches and leeches. Crabs in the bucket, get your hand out my pocket. Welfare recipients use it, hustle and profit. Sly as foxes, hella slick like lubricants, creating new avenues. Working till my loot is thick, dang near a lunatic. About to go AWOL, cutting up bad illy Walker, use a chainsaw.
We gon' make it through this. We will rise up. Let them be the foolish. Be much wiser. They can't hold us back now. We're the chosen. We're on the right track now. Don't lose focus. I can't call it hanging with my alcoholic bro ham. Only a little boy gripping the beer bottle with both hands. Post-traumatic low self-esteem complex. Pounding the brewskis like it was a contest. AA 12-stepping with the addicts. King County, Seattle, Washington, some of the baddest. Pop Dukes and Mom Dukes tried really hard, but it's rough and tough to raise a family in the city. The steel bars make this place feel like it's a prison. Much respect due and much respect given.
And much received, I believe it gets better. Children are the future. Let's give them the treasure. Life is too short. Use your gift and achieve. Give back to your people. Stack up on your cheese.
We gon' make it through this.
We will rise up.
Let them be the foolish.
Be much wiser.
They can't hold us back now.
We're the chosen.
We're on the right track now. Don't lose focus.
I always, again, had a passion for rapping and loved it since the minute I heard it. And it wasn't until I was in Rhode Island and I was in a dorm room with a bunch of friends and we're all kind of partying and hanging out, and all of a sudden they got in a circle and actually started like doing a freestyle, bit, and I heard it and I was drawn to it.
In the studio with Andrew, his integrity's high. First of all, the studio session's booked. He's on time, he's a little bit early. He's very serious when we're at the studio. He's prepared, everything's written, he's practiced, and he's getting on me to make sure we got these songs down when we approach the studio.
And at that point is the first time I tried to freestyle and actually exerted a little rhyming energy. And that very night I sat down and started writing raps.
So he's very, as far as integrity, very serious about anything that he does, even this music, just as much as the artwork and murals that he does.
After my year at the Rhode Island School of Design, I moved back to Seattle, Washington, and began running with a bunch of friends from Seattle that at that point were really way deep into the hip-hop culture and the rapping culture.
But his integrity level is very high. His morale, very high.
My graffiti partner from the Burn Unit crew, Heinous, is an awesome DJ, and he was doing his own productions and making his beats with the MPC 2000 XL. And at that point, I saved up money and got an MPC 2000 XL, and he showed me how to use it and taught me how to sample different samples and how to create kicks and snares and hi-hats and bass lines and manipulate samples and start to put together a song structure on how to actually make beats. And once I really got deep into that process, I just went with it all the way.
I believe I inspired him to get an MPC because I had an MPC 2000 XL, and then like a couple weeks later he didn't have one and was making his own joints, had mixtapes out, his own art on the covers.
I was still rapping and learning the process of rapping, becoming more seasoned, and I, at that point, moved back out to Boston, Massachusetts, and met a graffiti writer by the name of Crazy Rock from New York City. He's from the Lower East Side of Manhattan in Alphabet City. And me and him became best friends, and we started rapping together. And at that point is when I really formally learned the structure of how to create your songs, the bar structure, and he showed me the difference between East Coast beats and West Coast beats. And from that point on, we began rapping together, and we actually rapped a few times and performed in Boston at the Mecca and also at Tufts University.
He pushes me just because he goes hard. So if you're around people who go really hard or very serious about what they do, it's gonna rub off on you. So I appreciate the fire that he's putting under my seat to get me to do what I need to do.
And there was a time in my life where I really tried to walk away from the hip-hop game and the graffiti element and the Ziploc persona and the demeanor that comes with being Ziploc. And I tried desperately, but it kept coming back to me. It kept, you know, gnawing at me, and it kept resonating within my heart that, you know, this was more than just a phase, that it was more than just a flash in the pan element of my life, that over the years it had actually become a big part of my spirit and my soul. And I finally just kind of began to really give into the element of Ziploc and hip hop and graffiti, and knowing that it was just a part of me and it was always going to be a part of me. And the more that I've really, you know, got into that mentality, actually the more strength it's given me. It's made me stronger.
What would I say? I'd little words of wisdom, maybe. Kind of what an old school writer, one of the writers I looked up to when I was coming up was Verse Omega. And I asked him, I was like, you know, some questions, you know, he says, you know, don't try to get too crazy with your color schemes, you know, keep it basic, you know, a couple, 3 colors, and just work on being cleanly, you know.
I'd have to say that my words of wisdom for today's youth is actually be who you are, and as long as you're not harming people, harming yourself, you know, come up with your own style. You know, my own daughter started developing her own style in flair, which was where a lot of beads, you know, come up with a lot of different type of beads and stuff to wear.
And for years I was very tight-knit. There's a really close circle, just a very small circle that I would allow myself to open up to. And so going back to why I'm doing this video is basically promoting it to the world and actually letting people hear my voice and hear my story as of to how, you know, success came my way.
Grooving with the seasons, marrying momentum, seizing a moment of truth to get up in them. Let there be no stops until we reach death ground. Break the cooking pots and head westbound. These other teachings handed down to me become desperate in the way, and now you are free. These other teachings handed down to me become desperate in the way, and now you are free. These other teachings handed down to me become desperate in the way, and now you are free. These other teachings handed down to me become desperate in the way, and now you are free. Desperate in the way.